So we've got an exciting race going to kick off in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, and we cannot wait to bring it to you. My goodness, this is fun stuff. Now, this is going to be some fabulous super fast laps here. We're going to tell you all about that shortly. Thank you for joining us. If you are one of the riders listening in, I'm going to make fun of you. That's just what we do here. If you are a fan listening in, you are in store for some great riding. Very exciting stuff happening on the broadcast today. Now, a few things that you must know before we get going. These are real athletes on real bikes, really just extruding real sweat, and which is a wonderful thing to behold. Now, they're racing in a virtual world, and that is an important distinction here. This is video games. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, monitor blinked out on me completely here. Hopefully I don't lose the feed completely, and I'll be well, you know what? It won't matter if I do. I'll just keep talking crazy talk until we have a winner. And you know what? It may, in fact, be the actual winner, and it may not. Hard to see. Okay, so as we get ready to kick this thing off, as soon as we have the voice of the man himself, Frank Garcia, we'll have him jump in. And we'll get ready for this thing to start. Okay, this thing kicks off, and one of the things we try to do early on is we try to find the best riders. It's going to be really, really fast at the front. We've got men, we've got women, we've got all categories launching out of the gate simultaneously. They're going to take a big sweeping left-hander right here to put themselves onto the course proper. While there is no race actually happening here, clearly there's a race to make sure that they are in the right group. Zwift experimented for a little while with one of the techniques which would basically hold everybody together, create a neutral start. That did not end the way that they thought it would. Quote Luke Skywalker, "This is not going to end the way you think it will," or something to that effect. And that's what John said. So we've got multiple cameras here that we're going to bring you today, and you're going to be excited. Let me give you a sense of what is going on. Now, this is the front of the race of sorts. We're checking out Holmsen right here in that Grand E category. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But we've got men racing, women racing, and names that you know really well, those who have attended the CVR World Cup events, the live events. There have been 5: Roanoke, Las Vegas, London, Paris, and recently Los Angeles. There's another one coming up, and these racers are actually vying for an opportunity to do that. So if you are joining us on any one of the properties, whether they be Mixer or Facebook, or you're watching it on your mom's MySpace page, that can happen. Okay, that probably isn't happening currently. Then you find that there are lots of different ways to consume this kind of racing. It's a really cool esport. We'll talk about esports even more a little bit later. Now, there are a handful of folks here that you want to pay close attention to. One of them being Kim Little. Kim Little has been an attendee, I believe, at all but one of the events. I don't believe he was at Roanoke. I could be wrong. Maybe he was at Roanoke. That was not one that I attended, nor my colleague, Frank Garcia, who is in the studio with us. His job at the very beginning is to scout this group and see who's who in this great group. If you are new to the racing, here's a great way you can distinguish who these different riders are. You're looking for the A category, the B category, the C category, right? And even the D category. There's also an E floating around in here. I thought that was extinct. Come on, John. But evidently it's not. They can pull it out and use it whenever they want. There he is, Mr. Kim Little with X behind his name. Mr. Kim Little from the UK. You'll see that British flag adorning his name. He is trolling the front next to Tim Pate, who is up there as well. Now, anytime you want, you can tune in and see these racers individually at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. And we'll bring that up for you in a little bit. Don't worry about it right now. We don't need it right now. But you can actually view these different riders in their natural state, which is usually their sweat cave, their pain place. And you can check that out. We're going to take a peek at it in just a moment here. But Kim Little right now trying to hang on the front of this race. Very important. This multi-lap super race that's coming up here. These folks are vying for points. Kim's actually doing quite well in the points and is visible near the front of this race. There are a few people that he's going to race with today. Now, he was able to win this E zone last time, an 8-week season, the first ever CVR World Cup season. And he was able to win that by winning enough points throughout the races. That didn't mean he won every race. It simply meant that he gathered and garnered points. Now, there's up for grabs 1,000 points for the top spot of each one of these, and then it cascades down, 998, 996, right? It continues to go down. But as we peek at the different folks, you see Matthew Drujean, who was just against Kim just a little bit ago. He's from France, in Los Angeles. Matthew Drujean is an unbelievable, great dude. In fact, you'll notice a few in this group. You'll see some flags, clearly on somebody back there. We've got Kurt Pavels right there wearing the flag of Norway. That means that he is the champion, the virtual racer with the fastest. He's won the national race, right? He is his own country's national championship. Matthew Drujean right over there on the left side. You see the blue, white, and red of the French. I don't know who created it first. Probably France, not the U.S. using those colors. Too sad that the USA couldn't have copyrighted those colors, because it seems like everybody wants those USA colors. We won't get started in that argument now. Don't send me your angry tweets. We know. Okay. So gathering down through this group, you see that there was a big split. Now you've got a handful of riders here with a B, a C, even a D, and E. We've got Mary Wilkinson right there. She is the YRC rider from the UK. And she is hanging right there. She seems to be the top woman in the group. Right now, all the women are racing in this E category. But you look at the comet overhead right there. You see the head of the comet. You do not want to be in the tail of the comet. Wilkinson probably should move up here. She's got a chance to catch an elevator, as it's called, to get on the wheel of faster riders and to push closer to the front of that race. What happens is that your opponents slide off the back. But if you can hang on, gosh, half a lap, a whole lap, 10 minutes, you're going to put huge time into competitors who do not make that move. It's the same in outdoor racing. If you can catch the break, you can get time on your opponents. And that's exactly what Wilkinson's trying to do now to her opponents. As I glance around there, I don't see anyone else in that group. Wilkinson is the person in the front of that. Now, we've got a few other folks in here of note. Norden, the fancy B rider, hanging on to this group. That must just be miserable. I would be miserable if it were me. Now, Szerzynski, the well-known Piotr Szerzynski from Team Poland. You'll see Team PL next to their name, and he is not alone today. He's got his lieutenant Vandergroot right there as well. Now, Team Poland has done a lot of great work in the past. My goodness, friends, this race looks to be, as Charles Barkley would say, ridiculous. And it does appear to be a ridiculous because there are so many fast riders in this lead group that I don't know how anyone can handle this. What would happen if the Hulk decided to punch, well, not Iron Man, because he would wreck Iron Man, but somebody else equally strong, punch, say, Thor's hammer? Unstoppable force versus immovable object? What would happen? Neil Duffy also in this group. He wants to stay close and find out. And here we are on board with Carrie Conabear, the champion Velocity Vixen racer from LA. She had one of the most dramatic stories in CVR history. She began by trying to just qualify in Paris and found herself off the back of a group, missed the mark that day, and found herself in the wrong division as far as she was concerned. Road to Redemption follows her all the way to Los Angeles, where she wins the entire women's event. From not even qualifying for the big race to actually winning it all. She's about as great a story as you can get. A humble gardener from the UK. She's everything that is amazing about virtual cycling. As we jump into this group, we see that she did not make that initial group. I do not see Conabear in that group, but Wilkinson did make the Comet. She's mixing it up with the rest of those. Vandergroot also, Vanderroot in that group. Team Poland, some BRT riders also in that group. But look at it. It looks like a parade of nations. If I didn't know better, I didn't know this was a bike race, I'd think we were outside the United Nations. Every flag is flying, except for Namibia. I've noticed that there are no Namibian riders. We'll talk about the fall of Namibian cycling a little bit later, probably in the post show. Now we take a peek at Matthew Drugeon, who is showing you what it looks like in his view. You can see his view and the view of other riders in the CycleView app, cvr.worldcup.com. And you'll be able to check out those different folks. As we bring you in these different riders, you can view the riders and even cheer for the riders that you want over on CycleView, cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. Now, there is a big move coming up here very, very soon. You'll notice they're coming by Hanks here. Expect explosions. Pauwels wants to be in that group. Wilkinson needs to hang on to that group and get as far up as she can. Kim Little trolling the front of that. Bard also in that group. There are many, many great riders. But, of course, Team Poland wants to make sure they've got someone in the mix. Matthew Drugeon. Oh, there's a big kick. Something happened at the front. Kim Little goes into the red. That is not what you want to do unless you want to try to get off the front. But you'll see this blobular form at the front start to break down and become something else entirely. BRT trying to make this move. There he is off the front. Doving really mixing it up. Looker, the Race WBR racer, wants a finish this time, wants to be able to qualify for that next race, which is coming up very soon. Appears to be at the end of June or early July in the great country of Canada. That would be Vancouver, British Columbia. But Pickenbrink also hanging at the front. That's the German rider trying to stay there. But looks like no one is going to get away real here. Kim Little climbing up the front. You see his name glowing there. He looks to be about 3 wheels back. Eriksson, the CZR rider, also from, well, he's from Sweden up there. I always recognize the Swedish flag because IKEA, and you do too. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. It's okay for, I mean, it's okay for the U.S. to be associated with Disneyland, and it's okay for Canada to be, look at that. I was going to say Justin Bieber. But as we're on board here with, is this Kim Little? It is Kim Little showing off his Nyan Cat, pushing him. Those are the rainbow exhaust coming out of his backside, as it appears. That is a toaster. Excuse me, what do we call them? A Pop-Tart cat with a rainbow ejecta. That to be discussed later. And then Gemma right there. She's doing a great job kicking it there at the front of her race. That's Gemma Ankers right there. As we bounce around, you can see all of these folks on CycleView. Now, she did not make that initial move, but it looks like her teammate, or not her teammate, but her opponent did get kicked off the back of that group. Matthew Drugeon also trolling the front of that group. It looks like there was a definite separation in that main field. But in the women's field, we've got some different folks in different spots. There she is, Carrie Conabear, significantly up the road. Looks like about 15 seconds from Gemma right there. And you know what? And I want to say Gemma as well. I've had friends that pronounce it both ways. I'm just going to stick to one, even if it's wrong. And we're just going with Gemma. But Wilkinson, who is clearly the women's leader on the course here. Women signified by those E's, easy to find in the group. But Matthew Drugeon going into his dark place. Clearly, he is already, the entire world went dark because he went into his dark place. These folks bouncing around. He is looking around the group, trying to make sure that he stays with Kim Little. Kim Little, without a doubt, his #1 opponent in this. See, Kim is crafty. He is the British national champion. As we look at him, you can see the Union Jack on his back. It rhymes. And that means it's true. If it rhymes, it's true. I like that he has created his own comical power-up, which appears to be fast food. Now, I've been with Kim quite a bit, and he probably could put down a burger, but that's a rare occurrence, right? Very rare occurrence. Now, this group seems to have a lot of the right folks in it. Looks like you've got Soren Bay in there. Looks like you've got a number of other folks fighting for this spot. This is maybe the toughest division Many of these racers have gone historically with the Kiss race and others like it. Big sweeping right-hander coming around here as they're about to do that super descent right here. No one's going to get away. Someone's going to drift to the front. Someone may even drift off the front, but this is it. It has become from what was a sea of colorful categories, A, B, C, D, to just a pretty substantial group of solid A's. But there's a few folks that stuck around. Simon Nielsen showing his ability to buffer the pain and stay with the big boys, right? Ryan Race, and he's hanging off the back there. The WBR racer, Race WBR, that's the World Bike Relief Team. They're from all over the world. He is digging to try to stay on the front here. Szerzynski, Team Poland, tail gunning at the back of that group. But with 1 second, he's got to close this. And now is the time to do it. But his heart rate is pegged, rung the bell, and is going to try to get back up to the front there. Now, as we look at the rest of this group, we see Kim Little, we see Szerzynski in this group, Neil Duffy in this group as well. Lots of folks that you know and have paid close attention to. You can, at any time, click over to cycleview.cvrworldcup.com and check out some of these results. They're always available to you there. You can even view the live results and their impact on the race. So if this racer finishes in this position, how many points will they get? What's their maximum possible position? Very, very good here. Okay, I always like to click on the league standings, right, or view the live standard, right? I like it very much. Okay, so as I take a peek here at the live results, right, I am going to just kind of fill you in on the deets because that's what I do. Right, that my colleague Frank, we fill you in on the deets. So this is where you come for information and excitement. So this is the spring season of CVR World Cup League, and you can again pick any riders like Gemma right here, Emma Onkers from Team Vixen. Now, as we look at this A group, we find that in this group, Peikenbrink, Morten Vang, Michael Durr, Lars Peikenbrink, as I mentioned, Piotr Szerzynski, Liam Baird, Kaj Andre, Matt Looker, Kurt Pavels, and Jesper Olsen as well. Can you believe we have more than one Jesper in the world? Evidently a popular name. It was not on our boys' name short list, but it could have been there. Matthew Drugeon and Kim Little not letting much distance split between them. They are marking each other. But in this group, also, Eva Buchholz making that group. Kristen Falk in the A group, and Amber Smolik as well. Carrie Conabear finding herself really sitting in 5th of this women's group right now. There were a couple that got away and up the road. But as we look at these splits, we find that that folks like Durr and Andre and Muse and Erickson, Peikenbrink, Vang, Young, Neil Duffy, who I mentioned just a little bit ago, are in really, really nice spot. Now, Michael Durr may be the surprise of this race. 23rd position before in the previous race, but he finds himself really driving it at the front group this time. Jonas Eriksson, of course, from IKEA, from Sweden, also with a previous finish that was pretty strong in the top 25, but maybe in rare company within this group. Lots of folks to pay close attention to here. Now, Matt Looker, the odds-on favorite with that Hong Kong flag. He was the winner of this division last time, surprised a few folks. He finds himself up there in that group. Steve Young, not to be confused with Steve Young, the quarterback. No, this Steve Young is a better athlete than that Steve Young. Anyway, but you've got folks up here that you would expect to see in this group. All of them with the potential of getting in that max first position. So as we look at their overall position on the course, we find that that the folks you would expect to be there most certainly are. Now, of the league only folks, Neil Duffy, odds-on favorite here to win this. Why odds-on favorite? Because the math says so. Piotr Szerzynski is not going to let him just have that. He's going to try to take it away from him at every opportunity. let me see here. As we bounce around here, we see this lead group. It has dwindled down to very, very few. By my quick math, it looks like about 7. Now, as we jump back a little bit to this women's group, we find that Falk is the leading female on the course right now. I take that back. She is actually in this lead group with Wilkinson. Together, they are working together. Now, it's very possible that that these two riders could stay with this group and utilize the larger force to continue to outrun their opponents. A little bit further back, these women are being chased by the likes of Carrie Conabear, and that is a scary proposition. There she is right now. Carrie Conabear showing her race review that you can check out on CVRWorldCup.com. That would be cycleview.cvrworldcup.com and available to you whenever you choose. That's a pretty nice thing to see. Now, you can see where she is on the course and where she has to go. Now, she appears to be, as a moment ago, she was sitting in about 5th position, but I think 3 of those potential positions are right around her, with Avery and Croucher being just a couple of those. Up ahead of her, she sees a couple more of those women, but they're only a second up the road. Now, sitting overall in 52nd of the 171 riders that started this race, we see Falk, the Vision rider. She made a cagey move. Now, you'll notice there's a flag on her back. That would be the flag of Norway. I know Norway because IKEA. No, not really. I know Norway because of Tor Hirschhoff, right? They breed, probably in ooze pods, they breed the most amazing cyclists in Norway. For a country that just doesn't spend much time outside, that is some work. There's Gemma Ankers right there sitting 123rd. She did get shelled off the back of the group. She's looking for anyone that she can get. There goes some folks. Jump on there. That's an ODZ rider. They're friendly. They'll take you with them. That ODZ jersey is one of the hardest ones to earn in the game. You have to complete a bunch of challenges. There may or may not be a secret hooded society and a blood oath. I cannot disclose that, but that's how you get your jersey. Or you can complete a bunch of different workouts. Now, as we look at the different spots of this race, we see that that things are about to heat up. They came up and over that climb, but they're about to come around again, and it's going to get Looney Tunes real quick. Now, this lead group, this chase group is just now about a minute behind that main field. Falk's not trying to catch any of those folks. She's actually trying to stay with Buchholz and Wilkinson in this women's field. The women's racing, ladies and gentlemen, is unbelievably cool. If you're not following the women's racing, then you should be scolded. You should be scolded. You should actually have some of your TV time, your screen time diminished. And I'll talk to whoever I need to confirm that. That's important. So as we look at as Carrie Conabear trying to catch onto this group, she is in a spot of bother, as it were. To quote, can I call him a colleague? Probably not. Probably a real commentator. But she has had that look on her face many, many times. Nobody can suffer through this stuff like she can. Now she changes position. Is she trying to get more aero? No, she's trying to get more comfortable. Sitting at just under 200 watts, but her heart rate of 160. This is some work for her. Now she's uncomfortable. She's just trying to make it happen there on the bike. But with one lap here of this just monster figure 8, she is about 9.5 miles from the finish. That's 7,000 kilometers. If I did my nope. I'm being told that's not correct. So 10 miles is a few more kilometers than that. So sort of around 2 to 1, but not really. Okay. So as we look at Baird in this WBR race here, we see Nielsen, we see Norden, Olsen, Durr, Young, Peikenbrook, all within this core group. And that's exciting stuff to see. Now, if you were to chime onto any one of the other resources, that would be CVRWorldCup.com. That would be the CVR World Cup Facebook page, where you can watch this fabulous event live, or heck, even Mixer from time to time. You'll find what you're looking for, is all I'm saying. You'll find what you're looking for. Just want to throw out there a couple of comments that have been thrown down. Frank Deal. Kim was not at Roanoke. My apologies to the community. And then, thank you for the correct spelling of Roanoke. Well, no, he was saying he likes it. Hot Garbage Haskell. Boy, that is the truth. And no one can report on hot garbage the way that I can. Gosh, you say hot garbage once and people just light you up for it. This is how hard Matthew Drugeon is working. He's wasting away. He is invisible in the middle. He's a hollow man. In a moment, he'll be completely invisible, but that's what he does. Look at those laser beam eyes. He will cut you in half. He's a ghost. Matthew Drugeon. And Drugeon, by the way, is French for ghost man who does magic. I could not make something like that up. Remember earlier when we saw that massive, overwhelmingly large comet of souls? It is now dwindled down to this bullet, a bullet with just a handful of people. But in that group, this is the chase group, we might remind you. About 45 seconds back from the wreckage of the next group would be Falk, would be Wilkinson, and these other riders in the women's field who have collected here with this group of men. Now, there were discussions early on, you might remember, about separating the women's field. That was the desire to have them race at a different time. They could have their own race call, and I am a big fan of that. I was cut my teeth, as it were, talking about virtual cycling. Yeah, well, let's revisit that in a second. Why does someone even start doing that? Maybe there's a support group for folks like Frank and Jesper Onker and now Casey Shum. I am Casey, and I've been calling virtual cycling for 3 months. Hi, Casey. All right, we'll have a support group for that. And we take it day by day. But I cut my teeth in that. And the women's racing is some of the most exciting racing out there. And we should be proud to call it. Very, very good. Thank you very much. Numbers are about to go orange is what we said. And I am very interested to see if that is in fact the case. I will say hello to all of the fancy folks out there. This is not, Mr. Brent's, a women's race. This is one of these brackets is a women's race. You'll recognize those with ease on their next to their name over on the left side. Okay. As we jump back into this lead group, this is where the fireworks are going to happen. These leaders in this main group are well and strong, experienced riders, and we're very excited to be able to have them here. All right, now as we focus on what is happening on course, it's important to note they're about 20 kilometers into it, this lead group, just under 20 kilometers for the chase group. That gap is starting to grow as a big group of professional and professional level amateur cyclists are in this group. But it is a multinational representation here. They come up this little kicker here, and it is not an opportunity for you to get away unless you want to get away off the back. You've got to be very, very careful. You can get spit out the back if you don't climb hard, and little gaps join, and you are no longer wrapped in the warm bosom of the aerodynamics of the group. That's just the way that it is. It looks like no one shelled off the back, but if anybody is in danger, Mr. Young, Mr. McDonald, even Matthew Drugeon floating to the back of that group. Baird is in this group strong, and that is the race WBR rider. We know him pretty well. You can check out any of these riders and even cheer for these riders individually over on CVRWorldCup.com. That is the cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. And you can take a peek at that whenever you choose. Lots of great commentary happening over there on the Mixer page and on the Facebook page. Yep, you are viewing Zone E of the CVR men's race, but there are women in this race also. Excellent things. There we go. As we view again the great Carrie Conabear, you can see the actual work that she is doing. Real bike, real place, real person, virtual world. Every bit of power that you put in there. Mixer is famous for giving us the fabulous line that this is the hardest video game ever. And we have to agree. So it requires real effort. There's Gemma Anker right there. I love her choice of cool background image. That is so clever. But she is in her chase group, currently sitting 124th roughly. She has got to get this group of riders together and stay together. But she's got some help from Team ODZ. I did not see who that rider was. Could have been Jones. Not one that I know personally. I ride for Team ODZ occasionally. Okay, as we look back at Falk here, she is really tail gunning. Now, a little riser right here can be quite dangerous. She's about to come into a really sticky section with a big old honk and climb forward. They're going to hang a left hand here. They're going to do a kind of a little swirly cue and cross that bridge, and then they are going to climb. She's going to want to stay, but she has got the weight of a nation, or the lift of a nation, on her back. You'll notice the Norwegian flag across her back. You can only get that jersey if you are your country's national champion. So Katrina Falk, the Vision Rider, with the lift of her nation. Very interesting to see if she will qualify this year for the Vancouver live event. We bring these riders together for these live events, and it is fabulous. Okay, so as they start to kick up here, I think things are going to get serious. This is the chase group. Already on the climb is the serious group. About 40 riders up the road, you'll see a massive group punching it. Now, these riders right now coming up this climb, there's that Norwegian flag again, the flag of Norway. As they come up this hill, they're going to spread way out. She's going to want to not let that disconnected. But if there are any train cars that get a gap in between them, disconnected, she's going to find herself in a different group. Mitosis. Light reaction, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine the ribosomes coming together. The vendicular strands starting to pull. This is going to become one cell that turns into two very quickly. Mind your endoplasmic reticulum. Don't worry, it'll end up on both sides. What about your mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell? It'll probably end up in both of those groups as well, but it looks like we have a split. Okay. Matthew Drujean is now tail gunning on the front of that lead group. He is sitting in 9th position. That means there are 9 strong dudes in front of him. But look who's off the back of that group. That'd be Kurt Pavels, now behind by 9 seconds. He was disconnected on the climb. Matthew Drujean, hollow man. Look at that. You can see right through him. He has climbed back to the front of this. And all of a sudden, look at all those thumbs up and confetti flying right there. That means that those riders all got a really fast time up that climb, probably a PR of sorts. Now, they're just a small group now, 10 riders still collected in that group, and that's it. That's all the guys you're going to see up there. And look who did not make that group behind him. Pikenbrink. We see Mold in that group. We see Kim Little did make the group, actually. Sorry, I got all excited there. Kim Little in the group. As I never doubted you, Kim Little. I knew that you could make the group. Forgive me for even misunderstanding what I saw there. There he is, Nyan Cat, the toaster pastry of felines. That's the patron saint of felines. With the rainbow stripes coming out the backside. You know the song. I'm not going to sing it for you here. Maybe we'll play it a little bit later. Maybe actually we can have this just as a track whenever Kim Little rides. It automatically jumps in. Matthew Drujean with a kick to try to stay on this group. A little bit of scariness there. He does not want to be separated from that group. Pavels, who's off the back, takes the time to get his keyboard out and say, go! He's talking to his race WBR friend. That would be Michael Looker. Matthew Looker, excuse me, with a race WBR attachment on his name. Falk does find herself shelled off the back here. Unfortunate. 32 minutes and 5 seconds into the race, she finds herself in a lonely place. But she has maybe gotten advantage on many of the folks that she's been racing against. Oh, excellent, excellent work. Now, Looker, as I mentioned before, maybe the odds-on favorite to finish this. He is going to do stuff. But off the front of that group even is Ericsson, right, with Pikenbrook and Mold. This is interesting. We're seeing it a little bit different. Yes, calculators. Dang, math. Math is hard. These guys got away. They've got 5 seconds on a much larger group with much stronger dudes. No offense, but there's some big dudes behind you, and they're not going to just be comfortable letting you run away with it. They've got one guy on the front doing about 4 watts per kilo or 5 watts per kilo. That's Pikenbrook right now. The others can just kind of nestle into the gentle bosom of, okay, that's not gentle at all. It hurts to be there. Ericsson, Close that gap, buddy. When's the time to do it? Now. Matthew Drugeon leading the charge back. The angry Frenchman coming to maybe break out a little magic on these guys. He's going to make your hopes and dreams disappear. That's what he does. Hollow Man himself, invisible on the inside. Why? No soul. He doesn't need a soul to chew your dreams to shreds, and he's about to. They're closing it down. They can see these guys. He could reach out and pull the heart out of Durr if he wanted to, or Erickson, but he won't because he knows he's on TV, and the children are watching, and you got to be a good role model. Thank you, Matthew Drugeon. But these guys are going to be able to pull this back at about the right time. They're going to come through this little kind of rolly section here, maybe letting them dangle a little bit more out there. Matthew does not want to spend all his energy trying to catch on. But Erickson, the CZR rider, with a bold move here, Mord and Peikenbrink with him in that move, they did a nice job. And look at those fancy polka dots next to Mord's name. That's right. Those would be the polka dots of the fastest climb up that time, or fastest time up that climb. You knew what I meant. You've got your secret decoder ring there in CVR land. That is the way that it works. This is great stuff. If you have never seen this before and you're asking yourself, why am I watching this? It's because it's compelling. It's not a simulator, Dee. This is the way that you actually put real power into a video game. The hardest video game ever. Absolutely. And so when they change that slope, yes, it kicks up. Very good stuff. Falk now kind of in the gap there. Couple of her opponents up the road ahead of her, perhaps. Haven't been able to spot that in a while. I'll check the standings in a moment. But considerably further back, Carrie Conabear. Now, she doesn't need to win all these races. She doesn't need at all. She just needs to post good finishes. And we'll give you some of those good finishes, at least how we expect them to shape out. Erickson in that lead group. Now they put in another little kick as they were coming over here and got 10 seconds on that group, 12 seconds to some. The time to do this is going to be now. The question is there anybody in that group that can do the work? Peikenbrink does not appear to be an attached rider. Young, neither. SZR does not have any teammates in that group. They wouldn't chase if they did, but they don't. So this is all about Team BRT and about Team Experimental. That's X to you and me. That is Team WBR and, of course, Matthew Drugeon as well. All of those guys need to get in there and kick it into high gear, and it looks like they're about to do it. This is going to be the most explosive climb of the race as they come around here. Matthew Drugeon, that's correct, no soul. He is about to kick up that climb. Now, these guys come up over the top. There's a little bit of a gap. Peikenbrink takes his chance and says, I've got to do this myself. Those guys are going to catch you. There's no doubt in my mind. I've got to take this opportunity. If anybody's coming with me, great. It looks like one man, that would be Young, from Great Britain, the INC rider, managed to bridge across and is now with this trio. They're going to try to close down Peikenbrink, and they may be able to do it. 7 watts per kilo is pretty good, but these guys can do that too, and there are 3 of them, and 3 is more than 1. At least that's what Shel Silverstein tells me. So as they chase more, the rest of those guys are on the hill proper. They've just come over the top of it. They've really got to spin up that time, but 10 seconds is a long, long way to go. These guys are trying to reel him back, and they can. This is the hill to do it. Kick it into high gear, men, and you'll be able to get right over the top. Peikenbrink still off the front of this group, trying to just get away. He's not going to be able to do it unless he can maintain a higher watts per kilo, a higher average everything, higher average heart rate and cadence and power and will to live and desire to consume the flesh of your foes. If he has all of those things higher than those guys behind him, he's going to beat him to the line. 4 seconds is the gap now. That is starting to become substantial. 4 seconds takes quite a while to take back. You know how long it takes? Yeah, 4 seconds. Here we go. That's quick math, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. And 15 seconds now to that Drugeon little group. I'm afraid that we can count them out. I will write them into the, I'll write them a condolence card here very soon. Peikenbrink really starting to kick it up here. He's going to want to come across this line first, and he is making this gap grow. 186, 187 beats per minute. That is real heart rate from a real human on a real bike in a virtual world. These guys try to ramp up. They can see him. He's so close they can taste his sweat, but they can't taste his fear because he doesn't have any. Peikenbrink from Germany trying to cross that line first. He's about to hit that 300 meters to go mark, and he's going to dig and make it happen. Mord, Young, and Eriksson trying to catch on to him. Nice little train, boys. It looks great. Nice formation riding, but can you come around him at the end? Peikenbrink starting to fade, maybe 2-second gap. The aerodynamics of this group looks like it's going to come around him and catch him. Young seems to be the guy on the front, and he is going to come to the line. Is he going to catch him? Oh my goodness, it looks like just a wheel. Just a wheel to Young, comes around him at the very, very end. That was a very Justin Purificati kind of moment, wasn't it? You're like, crickets, I don't know what that guy's talking about. No, you may not. That's okay. That's okay. We'll fill you in. That was an exciting move. And let me just recount it in my mind as we catch on to Falk here, who has made contact with another group, sitting about 57th overall in the positioning here. I want to catch on to that group. The Vision Rider wants to be first across the line in the women, and that's what it looks like it's going to be for her. As we look at the women, by the way, you can always check this out. On the CVRWorldCup.com space. You can actually see what the live results are as far as we can tell. And I'll give you that men's group here in just a second. But it actually looks like Mary Falk in that group up there with Ava Buchholz. They are together in this group. I take that back. Kristen Falk, excuse me. Kristen Falk in that group. She looks to be in about third position. Apparently, up the road, we've got Buchholz sitting in fifth position overall, about 3 minutes behind the leaders is Carrie Conabear. We're looking at her right now. And you can see that she's doing the real work there. She's got a PTZ rider on her tail. That is not a teammate, although that is a team that she used to belong to. They're still very, very friendly. But Team Velocity Vixen erupted this year and has become an incredible force within the virtual bike racing community. Very cool to see all of these folks. So many great comments happening over on Mixer and, of course, on the Facebook. As Zuckerberg wanted to call it. He's been wrong about a few things, hasn't he? But you'll have to chime in a little bit later to learn more about my Zuckerberg views. But we're kicking it up with 200 meters to go. Wilkinson wants to be on the front of this group. She's looking for any wheel that she can get, but fading slightly. These sprinters are going to come around her. Doesn't really matter that much. She's just got to come across that line a little bit quicker than those around her, and she does. Unbelievable. Is what I like to say when something unbelievable happens. Big kick at the end. Falk now kind of drifting into the finish herself. Starting to, well, no, I'd say back it off a little bit, but she's got to just get as much time as she can as these women start to finish and their results starting to be posted here. Here's what I can tell you about the previous group. Unofficial, Steve Young did manage to edge ever so slightly in what appears to be a dead, no, I take it back, not a dead heat. They ended up with the same time of 38 minutes, 37 seconds, but 6/100ths of a second behind Lars Peikenbrink, who took that gutsy move as they came up and over that climb, deciding to leave his two compatriots, Steve Young and Jonas Eriksson. He managed to get them to make an attack on them. But Steve Young, coupled with a couple of other folks, including a guy who was not in the league in the race, managed to do that. Matt Looker comes across fourth and gets some points on Matthew Drujean, on Kim Little, and Kurt Povels, and a lot of those other folks that he races against. Now, you can check out these results anywhere you like. We'll wrap up our coverage here shortly, and you can go over to CVRWorldCup.com to see what the results of this actual race are. Maybe we can even get that dropped as a link in here. I don't remember if you can do that on Mixer. Can you drop a link? Probably not, but maybe so. We'll find out. Thank you. Oh, there it is. CVRWorldCup.com. As we come across this bridge for what will be the last time for these riders, or the first time in this figure eight loop, Avery and the rest of this women's team. Now, as we have a few of these folks, now remember, on cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. You can, whenever you like, check out the riders as they're actually riding. Many of them stream directly to that site, so you can see and verify their work. Here is a prime example. Carrie Conaber. That is the look on your face that you have when you are really exerting hard on the bike, when you are exhausted. It's also the face you make when you don't understand quadrilateral proofs. At least that's the face I make, because math is hard. Smolik, also one of the women's field riders, just behind the back there. Excellent, excellent work. Thank you, everyone, except for Cushy Duck, because you need to go to school or something. You need something. No wheelies can be popped here, laying down the hammer that, in fact, can take place. Very, very good stuff. Yeah, okay. So we do not read the comments of idiots. And I'm looking at you, soft waterfowl. All right. Now, as we look at the overall results of this, we have a few more folks. Carrie Conaber coming in. She's going to get a final result. She's going to get points as well. We'll turn the page on this race and get ready for the next one. I don't know what you've got planned in about 2 hours, but you should tune back in with us for the F division. F as in freaking amazing. And we will bring you the exciting power of these group. Now, each of these folks trying to get into different categories for the actual live You Win Real Money events. This is the league where there are certainly millions of bragging right dollars, not exchangeable currently, not even a cryptocurrency. But hey, that's what they're doing right now. They are mining a new kind of cryptocurrency, which is called pain. We saw some fabulous riders in there, but here is the way it looks. As described to you briefly a little bit ago, Young, Pikenbrink, Mord, Erickson, Looker, Muse, Drew Jean, Kim Little, Durr, and Doving round out that top 10. All going to get some nice points. But look at that man, Simon Nielsen. That's right. He was the B winner last time. I'm not calling you out, but you know what? You might belong in this group. So many great riders. Buchholz finishes. Falk finishes just a little bit ahead of our friend Carrie Conaber here as this is up on her screen. She's peeking at it right now to see where she finished. We see all categories and all riders here, but over on cycleview.cvrworldcup.com, you can see all of these other folks. Don't fear, my friend Carrie Conaber. You're in good position. You got tons of points today. You got 1,996. The winner got 1,000. And last time I checked, you streamed it. So that is good news. Okay. So many other folks in here. Angela Mann, Janet Livesey, Sarah Croucher, great group that you can check out all their finishing positions over on the other side. Leading the top real quick of the men's B division, Simon Nielsen, Casper Norden, and Bob McGlue. In the men's C division, although some are still on the road, Alan Hugel, Fraser White, and Daniel Pinheiro. And in the D, Mike Szymanski, Derek Bukak, and Thorsten Neugenbauer. That would be those folks. So thank you so much for racing. This was awesome to see. You can check them out yourself over there on the live results, and we'll see you in just a couple hours. Thank you to the technical crew for all of your amazing work. I'm looking at you, Kathy. And of course, Frank, commentary as always, spot on. There wasn't a single slip up today in a fact that you delivered. So thank you very much for everyone who's watching and for the entire CVR World Cup crew, whoever they are. I'm Chris. We'll talk to you soon.